happy privilege to turn the service over to our pastor, Sister Rose. Please welcome her as she comes.
We're so happy to have all of you here this morning. A special welcome to our military that are here today. We're glad that you're here. We take this time every first Sunday of the month to say thank you for your service that you give continuously. Whether you be in Afghanistan right now, wherever they are fighting, thank God some of you have been there and come back. That's a miracle. We're glad this morning that God has been good to all of us and blessed us abundantly. And we don't take you for granted. Having been a military wife myself, my husband spent 20 plus years in the military, 2 trips to Vietnam. And you know what? God brought him back. He didn't have to make it. Some people didn't make it. But I'm thankful that he did. 25 years ago, he passed away. And I tell you what, he always was proud of the fact that he was a soldier, that he represented this country. And I thank God for all that he has done. If you have your Bibles, turn with me to Malachi, the last book in the Old Testament, so you don't look over in Matthew and Mark. The 5th verse says, "A son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith the Lord of hosts unto you. O priests that despise my name, and ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? Ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar, and you say, wherein have we polluted thee? In that you say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. And if you offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person, saith the Lord of hosts? And now I pray you beseech God that he will be gracious unto us. This has been by your means will he regard your person, saith the Lord of hosts." I want to preach a little while to you this morning. God is saying, if I am a father, where is my honor? We honor so many things in this world. We honor people. We honor all kind of things and have certain days that we honor this and honor that. But God said that if I'm a father and he's the father of all of us, where is my honor? Why haven't I been included? Why is there not just an honor day every day for God? Why is there not? So as I look at this, I thought to myself, he said, the preachers keep offering things that's no good on the altar. If you don't give me your best, you have given me something I don't want. Don't we always like to give God whatever's left over of our time? We're just too tired. So here we come with a few things that we want to offer to God. We want to do everything else we want to do is more important, and we kind of work God in the plan if we can. But he says, I want to be honored. I want you to remember me. I want you to think about the fact of what I've done for you and been there for you. Can you not at least give me honor? We don't take time to do it. As Christmas approaches us now, it's supposed to be about him. It has turned into be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus. It's about everybody, but it's not about him. Think a minute. I thought to myself, thank you, God, for the desire to represent you all year long, not just on Christmas. I think every person in this room, if you're married or whatever, you'd like for your mate to remember you than just for one time a year. But everything you do every day tells me you love me and appreciate me. And if you do nothing, I don't believe nothing. But you got to do something to show that. We need to show God how much we love him. We honor him more than we honor anybody in the whole world. That includes your husband, your wife, your children, your job, everything. God said, I want to be honored. I'm the daddy of all this. He made all this happen. From the time I was in school, a very young girl, we get to our classes in the morning. And before class would start, we used to have prayer. They don't have prayer no more. And look at the condition of our schools when we moved it out. But one thing we had to do, we had to turn toward that flag. And we crossed our heart. And we said our pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We as little kids knew that. And nobody had to give us a paper to read. We knew that. You stand and you pledge allegiance. I'm saying this morning, God has said, pledge allegiance to me. Give me something. If you really care about God, if you are happy that he gave you life, if you're glad that he kept you all week long, he gave you a job, you're not on the streets, you got food on the table, look up, pledge allegiance to him. Yes. You know, all these years, shame to say it, but it's the truth, I didn't even know exactly what the flag meant. I knew it had stripes. I knew it had stars. But I didn't know what any of those things meant because nobody ever told us. But when I prepared this message, I began to look into it. And I was alarmed at what I found. I mean, alarmed. Listen to this. You got to hear this. There is, where am I? Hold on a minute. I started looking, I thought, well, what does it really mean? And these are some of the things that I found. And it says, the allegiance of the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. All of these say something, but I don't think I ever knew it when I was a young girl. One thing that stood out to me was this. One nation under God, indivisible. I never knew what indivisible meant till I started studying. It meant we cannot fall. We cannot be separated. We cannot be divided. Can you believe this? So I'm looking at this thinking, okay, and indivisible with liberty and justice for everybody. I think nobody ever explained it to us, at least not to me. But when I looked at it, I thought, and it says justice for all. It says, when you look at the flag is a good thing. But you know what, as a whole, we don't live up to that flag. We don't live up to it. Our forefathers gave us something good. Nothing is wrong with the flag. Something is wrong with the people who's supposed to represent that flag. Something is wrong. The red in the flag symbolizes hardiness and valor. The white symbolizes purity and innocence. The blue represents vigilance and perseverance and justice. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Because if you look around our country today, we will not see all of this in motion. In fact, we see very little of it. And so the white stands for purity because our country is independent and not corrupted by any other country. We're corrupted by ourselves. We don't need another country to do it. It's going on here. And I thought about this, and as I looked into it, I'm alarmed. And I thought, good, this is a Military Sunday too, a good message. So, and the blue stands for justice. And I thought, God, there was a time I truly believed that until some unfortunate things happened to my family members. Then I started thinking this doesn't work. I told when my sons were working on some software for the government, for Homeland Security. They worked day and night. They worked hard. 6 guys of this church, one of which was my son. The rest was brothers from this church. They worked hard. And I said to them, no matter what you do, if you love God first, love your country, love your family, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Well, they ran into a lot of problems as a result of this. having gone to Homeland Security and showed the software several times, with the FBI, with ICE, with the Secret Service, with everybody that was anybody at the top of law enforcement was in that meeting. And they went to show it. And Homeland Security said, this is what the government has been looking for all this time, and nobody presented it. They had Microsoft working on it. They couldn't present it. They had other large defense contractors. They couldn't do it. But these 6 black guys, no, 5 black guys and 1 white, because you might as well think of Dave as black, and he's just as black as he wants to be. He worked very hard. They worked together. They were so happy and excited about what they were doing. And when Homeland Security called and said, this is what the government wants, we're going to put you into the contract for $100 million for just the first module, and the software had 18 modules. But we're going to put you into the budget for the first one for $100 million. That's how much the government had been seeking this thing out. About time Homeland Security called us and said, you're good to go. The FBI shows up 2 weeks later. 21 agents armed that came in that building and said, we're here to check out financial records. The guys pushed the big cabinet that all the financial records was in, pushed them in the middle of the floor. This is what we want to check. He said, okay, help yourself. There they are. They never touched it. You know what they did? They went from computer to computer to computer in that building, imaging all of that, getting the information off of it because they thought sure that the software application was on those computers, except God was one step ahead of them. And so my son-in-law had taken this information, and he had it on a laptop, but he hadn't yet installed it in all the computers. He had planned to. For some reason, he didn't get around to it, so it was still on the laptop. They didn't find it. They threatened us. When I say us, I'm talking about my family and the brothers of this church. They put them all into a cafeteria that was in the building, locked them in there and told them, if you go to the restroom, you'll have to be escorted by an FBI agent. And they looked through everything. They stayed there from 9 in the morning to 10 at night. And they left with pushing out all these things with all the stuff they think they had, only to find out they didn't. They end up indicting our men for absolutely nothing. Said it was wire and mail fraud. No such thing ever happened. Then they said it was a conspiracy. They came together to conspire to do this thing and make money out of it in a false way. Wasn't true. None of it was true. They indicted them anyway. These guys worked hard. I'm getting to the part where I don't believe in justice. I don't think it exists. And so they put them through all this stuff. They had just come back from Philadelphia, and the mayor there wanted to have that implemented on their system. They called them and said, don't do business with these guys. They're a bunch of crap. This is a hoax. They knew it wasn't a hoax. They knew we'd been in Homeland Security. They knew Homeland Security had been in touch with us. They knew that every bit of this was on the roll. They knew that. And then they tried to play us as criminals. We wasn't criminals. Never. None of these men ever have one thing, not one time broke the law on anything, ever. They indicted our guys. They fought, and they fought hard. And the government's witnesses they brought in, they impeached them on the stand. They were liars, like you wouldn't believe. Some of the guys said, I've never seen that person before. Who is that? They told one lie after another lie after another lie. When it was time for us to present our case, we're not going to let you bring that evidence in. But it proves that we didn't do nothing wrong. Did you say I'm going to get a fair trial? If I'm going to get a fair trial, let me present my evidence. No, the judge said, I'm not letting it in. Give me one reason why not. You portrayed us as these horrible people to the jury. Now it's our time to show them who we really are. And you said no. No, we're not going to allow that in. The expert witness out of Denver, Colorado, who had worked with the FBI, the CIA, has his own staffing company for the last 10 years in Denver. He said, I'll come and testify for these men. I looked at this case. There is no crime in this case. These men function according to the staffing industry always. There's nothing wrong with this. He wrote a letter to the U.S. attorney saying this is not true. These guys need to be turned away, not given this. He's going to come in as an expert witness to trial. He gets there. They call him out to put him on the stand. When he gets on the stand and say, I'm Andrew Albarella. Mr. Albarella, we're going to ask you to step down. Why? Your expert witness in trial is one of the most key points for a person to have, especially in a criminal case. So now, Albarella's trying to understand, why am I not being allowed to testify? We're going to ask you to step down, Mr. Albarella. No, we're not going to have your testimony in this courtroom. Well, you knew how valuable that was to us. If the jury had heard what Mr. Albarella alone said, it would have thrown that case so far out it wouldn't even work, because he could actually deal with every detail. Said this is not a criminal. This is not crime here. And then they decided, okay, we got to find something on these guys. We're going to go into their church account. Didn't get a subpoena. Didn't follow the government's rules. That you just can't go into a church's account. You got to follow procedure to do it. They followed none of the procedure. They went into our bank accounts for 5 years straight and not one time got a subpoena to do it. So how did they get in there? It's who they know. It's who they know. This is what the lawyer said. The assistant U.S. attorney, Matt Kurtz, says, told the lawyer, whatever we do not let that information get out that we went into that church's bank account, because if we do, this is going to destroy this case. Whatever we do, keep that out, that nobody ever hears about it. And when some of our members took the stand and brought up the church money, you're not going to talk about that in this courtroom. Shut up. Because we've done something crooked, and we don't want anybody to know that we did this to a church. Washington is looking into it because they said the only way they could have come to your church and did that, Washington would have it on file in D.C. He said, let me check. There is nothing there that says anybody had requested to come and go into to our church books. We had nothing to hide, but you ought to follow the rule the way it should go. So when I look at this, I'm thinking, okay, the blue stands for justice. Why didn't we get justice? My husband fought for 20 plus years, 2 times in Vietnam. Did he fight for justice? Yes, he did. Why are we not getting it? My husband had passed away and didn't see this, and I thought to myself, honey, if you only could see. This is what you gave your life for. You was in the battlefield in Vietnam. You believed in what you were fighting for. Then tell me what's wrong at home that we're not following what the flag says. What's wrong? We pledge allegiance to it. We believe in it. Our forefathers got a good thing when they gave us this. But what have we done with it over the years? It don't have the same meaning. Because unless we're endorsing what's in place, then we are somehow fooling ourselves to say this. Tragedy. It's a tragedy. Listen to this. I did not know. I was at my husband's funeral when they gave me the flag. I did not know all the things that it represented. But I studied it this week. Listen to this. If you've attended a funeral honoring a veteran who served our country, perhaps you witnessed the folding of the flag that once covered the casket of a loved one. And I did. Each of the 13 folds of the flag holds great significance. I seen them stand there and fold and fold and fold, but I never knew what it meant. Listen what it meant, because maybe you don't either. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold signifies our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and tribute of the veteran departing our ranks and who gave a portion of his or her life for the defense of our country to attain peace. The fourth fold exemplifies our weaker nature as citizens trusting in God. It is to him we turn for his divine guidance. This is excellent stuff here. It says the fifth fold is an acknowledgement to our country. For in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country in dealing with other countries may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold in the flag is for where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're supposed to be one nation. We're not one. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all enemies. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor our mother for whom it flies on Mother's Day. Listen to this. The ninth fold is an honor to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, their love, their loyalty, and devotion that the character of men and women who have made this country great have been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to Father, for he too has given his sons and daughters for the defense of our country since he or she was first born. The 11th fold in the eyes of Hebrew citizens represents the lower part of the seal of King David and King Solomon and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold in the eyes of a Christian citizen represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The last fold, when the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God we trust." Is that not good? When I read this, I'm thinking, what a beautiful thing to have. And it's talking about God. It's talking about how we need him. It's talking about we as a country, how we love people, how we do the thing right, that other countries might follow the right example. It's got all this good stuff. I never knew it was there. Faith, love, loyalty, all these things. And I say, God, what happened to America? Our forefathers wouldn't believe if they came back what's happening now. Because when they did this, we used to have forefathers that prayed. Presidents, leaders that prayed. We don't have much of that anymore. But look at this. It says, after the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, the privileges, and freedoms that we enjoy today. At the ceremony of retreat, a daily observance at bases during which all personnel pay respect to the flag. The flag is lowered, folded in a triangle fold, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. The next morning it is brought out, and at the ceremony, reverie, run aloft as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. This is amazing. This has so many church God things. I just wonder, God, where did we get lost? What happened? We started out really good. But how did we get into this pattern of division and separation? The whole country is divided. We're divided between the rich and the poor, the middle class, this, black and white, red and yellow. It's unbelievable. How did we get divided? When we said, we can't even be divided, it says. What happened? Something happened. And you know what? The further man gets from God, the more corrupt he becomes. The more he doesn't acknowledge God, the more long ways he goes. When I read this, I'm never getting rid of this. I want to keep it. I look back at it and I think, God, thank you. Because you should be honored. Our forefathers honored God. That's why we got what we got. That's how we end up being the country that we were. But what happened? It's the saddest thing. I get up in the morning and I think, I don't know what I'm going to hear on the news today that's bad. My God, what happened to us when you can kill a reporter and chop his body up in little pieces and say, we're not going to worry about it because we got billions of dollars with Saudi Arabia. We're not going to worry about it. How do you do that? Human life is worth more than that. It's worth more than that. You know, you get people real offended if you mention Trump or if you mention a president. If I'm Democrat, it's okay. If it's a Republican, if Trump is Republican, it's okay. No matter what he says, no matter what he does. And I heard a woman on CNN say, she said, there were so many things he did wrong, but I'm a Republican. I had to vote for him. And I'm thinking, why don't we vote for right? Why don't we vote for right? Get away from wrong. What's right? Let's go for right. That's what God is about. He's about right. He's about standing with you 100% if you're right. Look at this. I was curious about this, and I'm not political, believe me. But since this has something to do with how we reference God, I thought I better get into it. You remember the NFL player Colin Kaepernick? Now, this is what I can never understand. Why is he being blasted? Because he kneels. Nobody is exalting themselves kneeling down. That's a place of submission. Okay, listen to this. It says so much has been made about NFL players carrying out protests during the national anthem that it's easy to forget how this all started. Colin Kaepernick, then a quarterback for the 49ers, sitting quietly on a bench during the anthem before a 26th preseason game. As Kaepernick later explained, his protest had nothing to do with the military. Listen to this. He was protesting police violence against minorities. After talking with Army vet and former Seahawks long snapper Nate Boyer, Kaepernick decided that in order to show respect for those who have served, he would no longer sit during the anthem, but suggested a new form of protest. So I expressed to him, maybe there's a different way of demonstrating where you're showing more respect for those who laid down their lives for what that flag and anthem stand for, Boyer said, of his conversation with Kaepernick. I suggest, could you kneel? Because people kneel to pray. We'll kneel in front of a fallen brother's grave. He said Kaepernick and other players have been called unpatriotic for kneeling during the anthem. But the idea came from a man who very clearly loves this country and has served to protect the freedoms that is provided to its citizens, including the freedom to protest in a peaceful manner. So I'm looking at this. I never knew the whole story about it, but I found out. So this is a veteran that asked him, would you just kneel when they play the anthem? Look, here's what I don't get. This man's not going over destroying the flag. He's not making loud noises so the anthem is interrupted. Kneel in silence? And something is wrong with that? And you call the men's mothers bees? I'm thinking all they did, he just kneeled. We say peaceful protest in this country, peaceful. There was no disturbance. It was quiet. I'm kneeling in honor of a veteran that maybe had a hard time, that is used up for the most part. That's why I'm kneeling. But it comes out and it gets all twisted up in the media, and Trump is saying all this crazy stuff. They're dishonoring the flag. They're dishonoring our anthem. No, it wasn't about that. They were standing there trying to somehow make a voice for the ones that's not heard. A man called me not long ago on the phone and said, Ms. Banks, would you please like to donate something to our veterans? Yes. He said, you know, we have over 200,000 veterans in this country that's on the street that don't have a place to live. And so I cannot get on my knees and protest and say, think about our veterans. Please. This is not being unpatriotic. This is what you call being true. This is truth. Truth that we don't want to look at. Truth that we don't want to deal with. Just push that out there. Don't talk about that. You got to talk about it. Somebody has to say, that's not right. That is wrong. Yes. God said, I want to be honored. I am the one who did all of this. Every person here, every family, I did it. I created this whole world. I did it. I'm asking you, where's my honor? Do you appreciate me? Every day you get up, the sun's shining on you. The rain comes on the just and on the unjust. He's a fair God. And all he said, could you honor me? Could you take a moment, come to church on Sunday morning and look up and say, thank you for what you've done for me. He's looking for loyalty from people. He don't get it. He's looking for faithfulness. He's looking for people that are devoted to him. It's fine for you to have faithfulness to your wife, to your husband, to your children, to your job. All those things, they are perfectly fine. But when we take all of this and put it out front and put God back here, something's wrong with that picture. Something's wrong with it. I asked the doctor at the hospital before my daughter hadn't passed away yet. And I said to her, what made you want to be a doctor? And these were what she said to me. She said, well, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, my mother would come into my bedroom and I'd have my dolls all taped up. I got some masking tape. I taped up their arms. I fixed their legs and taped it up. And she said, I just kept on doing all these things for this doll. And she said, and my mother come in and said, what are you doing? I'm taking care of my dolls. I said, that's strange. Why are you taping them up? Because their arm is broke. She's fixing it. I said, my God, you knew early what you were supposed to do. From a little girl, and now she's practicing medicine there at Penrose. And you can see that I love what I do. It has points that's not so pleasant when you have to go to somebody and tell them their loved one is dying and you can't do anything for them, but I love doing what I can to save people's life. I don't know if she weighed 120 pounds. And she said, I knew all my life I want to help people. And I thought about that. I thought, but you know what? Every person that we have in this country that gives service for us in any capacity, those people are people that somehow God brought into play. Put something, I told myself I couldn't work in ICU. I couldn't stand and look at death every day. I couldn't stand and look at people that I can't help. I couldn't do it. So who are those people? There are some people that this was literally born within them to be this. And thank God for those that are faithful to that call. It can't be just about money, how much money I can make, or too many people will die. I got to be able to give service sometime when I don't have to get the money I deserved. So I'm looking at the fact that God is saying, when are y'all going to start appreciating me? They said, I want to give more time to my family. But I gave you the family. Are you going to give me first? Yes. I gave everything you got. Your intelligence that you didn't accommodate this on your own. If you can comprehend and understand anything, that's not about you. That's what I gave you. I had a sister that was mentally retarded, and I didn't understand what was wrong with her. And family never took the time to explain what was wrong with her. I'm trying to understand, why can't you grasp things? Why can't you understand? Why am I telling you these things 5 or 6 times? What's wrong with you? But my grandmother would come in the room and say, quit yelling at that girl. I said, well, what's wrong with her? I told her, Spot, run, and she still don't know what I'm talking about. It's 2 words, really. One I use twice. And she says, Spot. I'm waiting for her to say run. I'm getting real aggravated. Run. And my grandmother passed the door and said, quit yelling at that girl. Tell me she doesn't have the capacity to comprehend, to learn like I do. If you explain that to me, perhaps that would make a difference how I treated her. But since I don't know, I'm trying to understand what's wrong with you. Later in my life, as I got older, maybe teenager, I began to look back on it at this time. She's still functioning at the same level, if not worse. But I'm understanding it now. So I don't mind taking the time explaining it to Hannah. Look, Hannah, this is what this is. This is how you make yourself remember. Remember to do it like this. But I didn't know what was wrong. We sit in this country every day trying to figure out what's going on. What's going on? Everything is chaotic. It's like, my God, what happened to our country? For one thing, we left God. We put God back here and over there and back here, and we're busy living our lives, and nothing works for any length of time without God at the forefront of your life. We have more corrupt churches than we ever had in the history of our country. Preachers going with their members, getting pregnant, having affairs on their wives, all kind of stuff going on in the church today. In my day, you didn't hear of that. It's a change. Why? The further you get away from God, the more you're going to sin. The more you're going to continue to sin. So I say to everybody, it's fine to pledge allegiance to what's supposed to be. But we know in our hearts, it's really not. I'm gonna pledge allegiance to what I know that flag really means. Even though I'm wondering in myself, what happened? Something went wrong. Look at where we are today. Things are not getting better, they're getting worse. Look, I say, okay, God help us. Now, the First Amendment allows for us to protest, as long as we do peaceful protests. We don't get out there and shoot people and stab people to death. No, peaceful. Making your voice known that something went on that you're not liking, that is not right. If we don't speak up for right, who's going to speak up for it? Somebody's got to speak up for it. I am grateful to God for all that he's done for us and given us things that we didn't even deserve. Then when I look at this, what do we look like? It's the epitome of hypocrisy. We're saying one thing, but we're not really doing it. God said, this people, they draw nigh to me with their lips, but their heart's far from me. So they do a lot of talk. But really, in actuality, they're not what they say they are. Nothing's worse than to have a pastor who's in the pulpit telling you the truth and they don't live it themselves. Nothing is worse than that. Nothing is worse. I make it a point. When my husband passed away 25 years ago, I do not counsel men in any situation without somebody in the church being present. Why is that? Not because I'm going to do anything wrong, but because I don't want anybody to even take a moment to think that it is. So don't let your good be evil spoken of. Do it right. But be cautious how you do it. I'm no longer married. I'm a widow. I must be careful as a pastor. One of our insurance guys with Prudential a few years ago, I got a lot of insurance from them, and he said, Rose, can I take you to lunch? I said, you probably can have lunch over here. My husband's here. Going out in public, you know, the first thing, people think bad before they think good. Dear honey, let me tell you, Sister Rose ain't all she says she is. Honey, I went to this restaurant. Let me tell you, I don't know where Mr. Banks was, but she was sitting at that table with this white man. Are you kidding me? Yes. I saw it with these two eyes. I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to be cautious how I do my life every day. That nobody can ever say, well, she was caught in a bad situation, in a compromising position. That's not going to happen. You determine that I'm not doing that. I'm better than that. And God expects more of me than that. And I will not disappoint him. So think to this morning, if you're thinking about all the people that you give allegiance to, where does God fit into that? He should be at the front of the line. He shouldn't be behind somebody else. Because I'm going to tell you, it's nothing worse than you trying to fly a plane and the pilot's in the back. And you ain't never flew a plane before, and the pilot's in the back row, and you're getting ready to crash. And in fact, you're not going to even get off the ground. So understand. I gotta recognize that. God said, I want to work your life. I want to take charge. I want to help you because I know you don't understand. We think we know everything. I'm not stupid. Yes, you are. To a whole lot of things in life. Why do we make stupid decisions? Because we are stupid. We're ignorant to the fact. We don't know what's going on here. Let God take full control of your life, and the joy and the happiness and the peace of mind, there is nothing in the world like it. Let him run the ship. You ever seen somebody get in a car, don't know how to drive, they're going to tell the driver what they're doing wrong? I used to do that with my husband. I said, you don't never let your husband teach you how to drive. They're too impatient. No, it really wasn't about impatient. It was about I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I like to press the gas real hard. And he's telling me, Rose, you got to slow down. Rose, slow down. So he took me around the block and brought me back. And, boy, I was feeling real good. Now, he told me to look out the side view mirror and look out the rear view mirror. I said, you can't do all that at one time. No, if I look out of here, that's all I can handle. I can't look over here and there. Yes, you can. But when I got ready to pull in front of the house, I come in at like 45 miles an hour. And my husband's feet was up in the dashboard. Slow down, Rose, slow down. I'm thinking, this feels so good when you just gas up and you know, I like that. He said, you can't do that. You don't come into the curb at 45 miles an hour. And then when I put on the brakes, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But I could always tell him, you know what, you shouldn't be driving like that. Why don't you do this? Honey, why don't you just go on over there, go this way? He said, Rose, I'm driving this car. I wanted to drive it, but I didn't have a clue how to do it. That's just the way your life is without God. You out here trying to drive it. You driving 100 miles an hour. You're going to blow up everything, including you. But you just want, you know, it's just the way I feel. I just feel happy when I'm really trying things, and I like to challenge myself. Don't challenge other people and put their lives in the midst of your challenge. So this is what I'm going to do. God said, I just want to help you out. If you'll acknowledge me, if you'll ask me, I'll tell you what to do. We don't even ask God. And then when it goes wrong, you know what we say? Why did God let this happen to me? He didn't. He told you to ask him first. You didn't do it. You take the blame. Look at your life and say, this is my fault. I can't blame God. I can't blame nobody. I did this. Not many people want to acknowledge that they did anything. See? Do you know the phrase under God in the Pledge of in the Pledge of Allegiance? Do you know it was 60 years after the flag was done before that was included? 60 years later. It's like we don't really need God to get this done. No, you need him. You need him. Look at your life this morning and say, you wouldn't be where you are today without God. You couldn't even breathe this morning. You couldn't get up and get yourself out of bed. You might want to. You did it yesterday, but no guarantee it'll happen today. Every time you move, every time you breathe, every time you can do something that nobody else has to do for you. I mean, this is awesome. Then we look up and say, thank you. I pledge allegiance to you. I pledge allegiance to you, God. You are the one I love the most. I am most loyal to you. Everybody else is behind the line. Those people have great lives. They do very well. All of us have trouble. It doesn't mean it takes you away from trouble. It doesn't mean it takes you away from pain. But what it does do for you, it gives you somebody there to help you to get through it. That's an advantage. There is a progressive movement in the United States politics, and it started up in 2016 when Donald Trump was brought in as president. It's a group of nationwide of thousands of volunteers that led local groups that engage in progressing advocacy and electoral work. So this group seen the need to form something to say, this is not right. And believe me, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Donald Trump. I think he's stone crazy, but I don't hate him. I mean, some of the things he's done, only crazy people would do it. So that's okay. But we're trying to say, okay, they say, well, that's because you're Democrat. I just told my daughter this morning, I said, you know what, I'm getting ready to go independent. So whoever is doing good, offering a good thing, doing a good thing, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat, let's vote for you. So see, if I'm over here and I'm Democrat, if a stupid fool's messing up, I'm Democrat, I gotta vote for the fool. No, I don't. Well, over here, I'm Republican. He's crazy. He don't know what he's doing. The whole Washington establishment is like this. Like what? Every time they think they've heard something, he does something that's like, 1 minute Lindsey Graham come out for him, he's 100%. Next time he can't stand it. It's back and forth. Because I'm Republican, I'm supposed to support you, but you're stone crazy. See, look, we got to say to ourselves, I want to make a difference in life and not based upon whether I am a Democrat or a Republican. Let me accomplish something because I'm about right. About right. I want you to think about your allegiances and where they are. And how many do you have? I remember, I'm going to tell this story. I'm not proud of this story, but I'm going to tell it because it might help you. When I first became a Christian, everybody got their own thing. But I've been a Christian 50-some years. That's a long time ago. Me and Charles would sit up on the couch and we'd watch Hawaii Five-0 and Barnaby Jones. Those are my favorite 2 TV shows. And I was sitting on the couch and we was watching. One of them was on because right after Barnaby Jones goes off or whoever, the next one comes right up. So they show you a little teaser. Say, look what's coming up. I got to see that. But you know what? I felt in my spirit, you need to go pray. I thought, I got to see Barnaby Jones. I feel it in here. You need to go pray. In other words, Lord, not right now. Barnaby Jones is coming on. Hawaii Five-0. And I sat there. I was so miserable. I couldn't hardly draw the show because I keep thinking you need to go pray. If God's calling you to pray, he's calling you for a reason. Go pray. So when it went off, I jumped up off the couch. I said, Charles, I'm going to the room. I got to pray. I got on my knees. I heard the voice of God as clear as you hear me speaking. He said, I don't want your leftover time. You talking about weeping and crying? I don't want your leftover time, Rose. I want Barnaby Jones time. I want Hawaii Five-0 time. That's prime time. Don't you dare come in here going to talk about you getting ready to talk to me after you done preferred Barnaby Jones and Hawaii Five-0 over me. Forget you. By the time I got through crying and boo-hooing and telling the Lord how sorry I am, I never do it again. Never did it again either. That was 50 years ago. Never did it again. Because Barnaby Jones done came and went and what have you, and it don't really matter. You may not have Barnaby Jones in your life. It might be something else that you do. Take a look at your life. And is God second? Well, I was going to pray, but I have to do this on Monday. So God you don't talk to him on Monday. No. Well, so when you run into something and knock your brains out, who are you going to blame? I didn't talk to God. He could have warned me. He could have sent word to me. But I wasn't there. Think about it. This morning as I close this message, I hope that you're not so preoccupied with everything else but God. And it's easy to do. It's very easy to do over a period of time that I just kind of got away from it. I don't pray no more. We used to go to church, but we don't go anymore. Think about it this morning. He loves you, he cares about you, and he loved you enough to give his son to die for you and give you a chance to escape hell where the devil and his angels are, and you're just playing games with him. Don't use God for a spare tire. If I need you, I'll call on you, but if I don't need you, I'm not going to do it. Today, look at your life. Musicians, please come up and tell yourself, Is God number one in my life? Or where is he? Is he in any number in your life? Because if he's not number one, nothing else is going to work. He said, thou shalt have no other gods before me. No other gods. Think about it this morning. And think, okay, if I'm pledging allegiance to something, is it real? Is it real? Perhaps not. Think about it. But you know when you're pledging your allegiance to God, this is real. This is good. It's good for us. So I say to you this morning, as you sit here in this church, that if you think about your life and think about where you're at and where you should be, come forward and let us pray for you, that God would touch your life, help you to get your priorities straight, get things in order the way they should be. You'll never regret it. He loves you. He cares about you. Every time you go on that post, military people, you don't have to be in a war zone to be killed by it. It's dangers all around you. There are guns and there's tanks and there's all kind of stuff could cost you your life. But let's be sure that we made him first. He can save you from danger. Some soldier came up last week, I think, that had gone to Afghanistan, and I gave him a prayer cloth to take with him, and I wanted somebody's got to remember who this guy is so I can talk to him. He came up in the prayer line. He said, Sister Rose, the prayer cloth worked. I want to know what happened. And so he hugged me. He said, it worked, Sister Rose. I said, keep this prayer cloth on you wherever you are in the war. And if you got a friend, cut it in half and give them a piece. That God will take care of you and spare your life. And he was so excited. Somebody find that man for me. Somebody invited him. Who? Jose? I want his number. Yes. And when he told me that, I was so overwhelmed because I had so many military people had come in the prayer line. I said, let me get you a prayer cloth. Keep it on your body. So when something happens, God will protect you. You got protection. I heard of the man one time who went to war, and somebody gave him a little small testament, a Bible. He had it up here. And when he was fired at by the enemy, it hit that. But it lodged in the little testament. It never went through it. So there is something about trusting God that makes it different. Yes. But I hope that you'll take away from this service, not this. Sister Rose said the flag ain't no good. No, I did not. I told you how good it is. So don't get it backward. And next time I hear in the community, she's against the flag. No, I'm not. That's what it sounds like to me. Well, you're real dumb. Because I've got it just out there. I said it's a good thing. It is a good thing. In the mouth of many witnesses listening, it's a good thing. They'll say for sure, she's totally unpatriotic. I mean, man, she dogged the flag. No, I didn't. I told you what it meant. And I told you how good it was. We're trying to ask ourselves, why are we practicing that? Amen. All right. Give us a song. If you want prayer this morning, stand to your feet. If you want prayer, please come forward.
Long ago, you brought me forth a tyrant's throne. They were told that he would spare their lives if they would renounce the name of Christ. And one by one, they chose to die. Son of God, they were 99, like a great angelic choir sings. I can